Well, good evening. One of our taglines is the most connected city, and we're a little less connected tonight, but we will fix this and continue to hang on to that moniker of connectedness and innovation. So tonight, before we do roll calls, I just want to address you all. We really have three separate meetings tonight. We have our Public Housing Authority Commission, of which Council and Vanessa serves on that. Then we will have a regular council meeting, of which there are 7 agenda items, and if any of you had wanted to make comment on any of those, you would fill out a card and get that to Dana. The third part, of which most of you are here for, is our study session. There we will do recognitions and acknowledgments, and there's a longer agenda item of which council will have the opportunity to ask questions of staff, of which we will then be voting on these items on Thursday at our second regular city council meeting of the month. And at that time, if you have questions or comments on anything, what will be the blue sheets, then that will be on Thursday. You'll have the opportunity to speak. So with that, I would like to call to order a Public Housing Authority Commission meeting, and clerk, take the roll.
Chairman Hartke.
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Commissioner Dearman.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner McClymons.
Here.
Commissioner Wong.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Here.
Commissioner Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, City Clerk. Commissioners, we have 3 items on our consent agenda of the Public Housing Authority Commission. How would you like to proceed?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, we had a really good meeting that October 7th about what we could do with our public housing. There's a lot of good ideas out there, a lot of private partner stakeholdership. So those of you more interested, you obviously could contact the city, but I think it's a great go-forward plan. So with that, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Public Housing Authority Commission meetings, the Commission agenda dated Monday, November 4, 2019, items 1 through 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lopez. Do you want to roll this, or can we take a vote here? All right, roll call vote.
Commissioner Rowe.
Yes.
Commissioner Dearman. Yes. Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner McClymons.
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yes.
Chairman Hartke.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. With that, we'll adjourn our Public Housing Authority meeting. Our next meeting is the regular meeting of the Chandler City Council, Monday, November 4th. And do we again need to do a voice roll call?
Yes.
All right. Clerk.
Mayor Hartke.
Here.
Vice Mayor Rowe.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember McClymons.
Here.
Councilmember Wong.
Here.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you, Clerk. Our invocation tonight will be led by Associate Pastor of Cornerstone Christian Fellowship, Manny Mello, and our Pledge of Allegiance, which will follow that, will be led by Boy Scout Troop number 77. Pastor Mello.
Thank you, Mayor Hartke, and distinguished members of the Chandler City Council for inviting me here tonight. I can appreciate the challenges that you faced at the beginning. I always said when Satan fell from heaven, he fell into all audio and IT equipment. I'd like to begin tonight with from the Old Testament, written by many who believe the wisest man on the face of the earth, Solomon. 2 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 10, he says, "Give me the wisdom and knowledge to lead them properly, for who could govern this great people of yours?" And I guess the question to ask tonight, if God were to grant this council one wish tonight, what would you ask for? And in this verse, Solomon had the opportunity to be selfish and ask for wealth or fame, revenge, popularity, anything, yet he asked for none of these. Instead, he asked for wisdom to be a good leader. And Solomon recognized the responsibilities and blessings that God had gifted him, and he asked for God to help him be a wise steward for those who he was commissioned to be taken care of. And God recognized his selfish act and then rewarded Solomon by granting him multiple blessings. And my prayer tonight is that the Lord would continue to equip you as the good leaders that you are to continue to lead this great city of ours. Will you join me as we look to the Lord in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this meeting tonight. We thank you for our mayor and the members of this council. We just pray, God, that you'd give them wisdom beyond their years as they navigate this evening and the evenings to, not only for tonight, for the many meetings that they have to be involved in, that you give them wisdom, clarity of understanding as they, and again, navigate the important decisions that need to be made, not only tonight, but in the days and weeks and months ahead. Thank you again for their wisdom, and ask that you would bless them and guide them in all that is done tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, and Scout Troop number 77. Pastor, I think that prayer was partially answered today. I was speaking to a group of fifth graders out at Paloma Elementary, and one student asked me, "How old are you?" And I said, "How old do you think I am?" And he said, 97? So I think he was maybe speaking as answer to your prayer, hopefully, rather than how I look. But thank you. Council, on tonight's agenda, I know there are 5 items, but Councilmember Orlando wanted a conversation on item number 5.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As staff's approaching here, this is, as you know, a transition. We're going from our a new chapter of our lives as we mature in our city, and I wanted to give a little quick presentation. I have a couple questions for you.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, the item on the agenda tonight is the introduction of the ordinance to dissolve the Museum Advisory Board. With the new Chandler Museum opening in December of 2018, city staff, along with the Museum Advisory Board, and in cooperation with the Chandler Historical Society, has been working towards establishing the Chandler Museum Foundation. As a 501c3, the museum will be able to apply for grants, receive charitable contributions, and leverage the city's annual operating budget for the enhancement of programming and exhibits. On Thursday, resolution number 5325 will be before City Council for possible approval of the bylaws for the Museum Foundation. The board will include an 11-member board of directors, which will also be before Council for consideration. Members of the Museum Advisory Board were encouraged to apply to the Foundation Board, as well as 4 members of the Chandler Historical Society. On October 2nd, the Museum Advisory Board recommended that City Council dissolve the Museum Advisory Board and create the Chandler Museum Foundation. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is pretty exciting. I remember we put the Museum Advisory Board many, many years ago, and it's matured, and obviously they recognize, that was my question to you, they've recognized the fact that they've outgrown the original charter, so they're looking forward to this brand new chapter in our, and there's no problem with any of the board members there. That some of them I know did apply for the new positions, some of them have not. Is that correct?
Councilmember Orlando, through the mayor. That's correct. Out of the original 7 members, 5 did apply.
Excellent.
And will be on for consideration on Thursday.
That's excellent. And that was my biggest concern, that we did not want to shut anyone out, and we wanted to embrace them to come to this new logic, this new thought. So that's great. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Council, again, we have a consent agenda of 5 items. Any other additional questions, or how would you like to? Vice Mayor.
Mayor, I'd just like to make a motion to approve the consent items 1A through 5 for the regular meeting for Monday, November 4th, 2019. That's my motion.
Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilmember McClymans. All right. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none.
We'll go ahead and try.
All right. We're feeling like we're going to try this. All right, Council, please vote.
Vice Mayor Rowe? Oh,
I already have a yes, but I'll do it
okay.
again.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you. With that, we will conclude our regular city council meeting of November 4th. Next meeting tonight is our study session of November 4th, 2019. And calling this to order, we have a number of scheduled public appearances, and I would like to turn over the first part to our city manager, Marcia Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. On service recognitions tonight, our first one is from the City Clerk's office. Dana DeLong, our City Clerk, will make the presentation.
Thank you. Please join me in congratulating Nan Call on her 20 years of service with the City of Chandler. Nan joined the Chandler City Clerk's office in 1999 and brought with her extensive knowledge of municipal government over the years. Over the years, Nan has taken a lead role in shaping the processes performed in the clerk's office. One example of this is how she has been instrumental in the implementation and continued development of the electronic document management system. Nan serves as a wealth of knowledge for employees throughout the city as she offers her assistance on records retention, open meeting law requirements, document routing, and changes to the city code. In addition to her role in the clerk's office, Nan spent several years organizing and working on the annual employee water drive. The water drive benefits several local nonprofit agencies. Nan, thank you for your 20 years of service. And as an update, I'd like to say this morning Nan has announced her retirement, and her last day will be December 4th. I know that was my look. That's exactly what I look like. So thank you, Nan, for staying here.
I would ask Andy Bass, our Community Services Director, to come forward and make his presentation.
Jeff Stanton is a business system support technician at the Chandler Public Library. When Jeff first started at the library in 1999, his first project that he worked on was ensuring that the library's computer system would survive the expected disaster of Y2K. Since then, Jeff has contributed to almost all major library IT projects and upgrades, such as the city's desktop migrations from Windows 95 to its current move to Windows 10.
Andy, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you right there. Is he here? Yeah, let's have him come forward, please. Okay. There you go.
Oh, go on up, Jeff. I apologize. So Jeff is also responsible for helping library staff resolve everyday technology issues such as broken receipt printers or a frozen computer screen. When we see the library van on the road, it's most likely Jeff visiting one of our 4 branches to make sure the technology is working for staff and customers. And after being told that he'd be recognized for his service, Jeff wanted it to be known that he's proud to have been chosen to work at the Chandler's Public Library.
I would ask Sandeep Dalakia to come forward, our Information Technology Director, and make the next presentation.
I'd like to invite Jason Anna, a senior programmer of the server and storage team here at the City of Chandler in the IT department. Jason came to Chandler from Intel, where he specialized in data backup and recovery. Outside of his primary duties in supporting a variety of systems, Jason also actively participates in automation projects to help improve various processes and develop several tools to assist in various areas. Jason also worked on several key projects throughout his career. Most notably, he was a lead technical resource in the deployment of the Cisco servers and several other storage systems here at the city. In addition, he also was a key stakeholder and responsible for Avamar data protection technologies. Whether it is supporting day-to-day requests or deep diving into complex issues, Jason has remained committed to the success of his team and the services that he supports for the city staff and its citizens every day. Thank you, Jason.
At this time, I would ask Sean Duggan, Police Chief, to come forward and make his presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Tonight we have two presentations. I'd first like to ask Detective Jason Allness to come forward to recognize his 10 years of service with the City of Chandler. Jason began his career with the city back in 2009 as a patrol officer and quickly established himself as a focused and highly determined officer. He sharpened his skills and developed a reputation as a talented and dedicated member of patrol. In 2014, his hard work paid off when he was selected to become a detective in the sex crimes unit, where he investigated sexually motivated crimes against children. In 2019, Jason became an ICAC detective, or Internet Crimes Against Children detective, within the computer crimes unit, and that is where he is currently assigned. Jason has built a reputation as a thorough and determined investigator who provides excellent service to the citizens of Chandler and assists other officers and detectives whenever he's called upon for help. In addition to his many talents and skills, Jason speaks Japanese and continues to be a valuable member of the Chandler Police Department. So Jason, congratulations and thank you for your 10 years of service. Now I'd like to ask Sergeant Dave Pilkington to come forward in recognition of his 15 years of service with the city. So Dave joined the Chandler PD back in 2001 after serving 3 years with the San Benito County Sheriff's Office in California. And after moving to Arizona, Dave attended the police academy for the second time, where his prior training and experience was evident. After an initial assignment in patrol, Dave quickly moved into an investigator position in the narcotics unit, where he worked complex drug investigations. In 2015, Dave was promoted to sergeant and returned to uniform to lead a squad of patrol officers. And over the past few years, Dave has earned a reputation for bringing out the best in others. He's an integral part of the department's teaching and mentoring process. He not only focuses his talents and energies helping new officers, he also helps to train new sergeants to become quite competent leaders. His hard work paid off again, as he was just recently transferred to detectives to lead the sex crimes unit. And over the course of his career, Dave has won many awards, including the Exceptional Merit Award, Officer of the Year, and the National Top Honor Award from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. So Dave, thank you for all your hard work and for your leadership, and congratulations on your 15 years of service.
All right, Mayor, Council, our last service recognition tonight will be presented by Chris Kircher, our Buildings and Facilities Manager. And then once he does the service recognition, I'll ask him to go ahead and do the retirement recognition.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to call up Renee Moreno and recognize her for her 20 years service with the city. Renee started her career in the City of Chandler as a customer service representative in the solid waste division. In 2004, she was promoted to an admin specialist. For over 14 years, she worked performing these duties in the Parks, Aquatics, and Building Facilities division. Renee has exceptional customer service skills, and often I receive compliments on how awesome she is, which I agree. She is especially good at keeping all the trade staff in line, keeping them on task, making sure they complete their work orders and filling out their paperwork in a timely manner. And more or less, she's our mom. So Renee has a great personality, keeps us laughing throughout the day with her positive and contagious attitude. Renee was promoted to her current position as management assistant in 2018. Renee is a key member of the facility team. We congratulate her on her 20 years of service. Mayor and Council, I would like to call up Wesley Eads and congratulate him for his retirement after 25 years of service with the City of Chandler. He decided to retire after much talking from me to see if he could stay a few more months, but he decided not to. Wesley has been a key member of the building facilities team during his tenure at the city. He started his career as a facility electrician in 1994. He's been involved in every remodel, new build, and upgrade of any building, park, or aquatic center. His knowledge of city buildings is unsurpassed. He is the guy everyone goes to whenever there's an electrical problem. Wesley has always been the first guy to jump into any project. Last night, he was at Tumbleweed Rec Center late at night working on the lights for that project. Wesley is an inspirational leader to the staff he supervises, and his commitment to excellence is second to none. We congratulate Wesley in his retirement and for the remarkable service that he has given. He will be missed.
Mayor, this concludes our service and retirement recognitions.
Thank you, City Manager. Our next item is a proclamation for Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life. And I'd like to invite Joseph Ortiz and those representing Castile High School to come on up.
So on behalf of the mayor, I'd like to read a proclamation for the Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life movement. Whereas the Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life movement presents an ideal opportunity to help to bridge the gap between young people, our local community, government, and law enforcement in a positive way. And whereas our local schools are facing preventable suicides, tragedies that may include warning signs in person or online, but bystanders or friends remain silent among threats or cries for help. And whereas our young people can be empowered to report concerning posts or comments to school representatives, our law enforcement and adults can receive training to help spread the message that it is okay to care enough to speak up, stand up, and save a life. And whereas more than 3,000 Arizona students from 120 public, charter, private, tribal schools have learned the message and created student-led impact projects in their schools and communities. Now, therefore, Kevin Harkey, Mayor of the City, I always mess that up, Mayor of City of Chandler, do hereby proclaim January 20 as Speak Up, Stand Up, and Save a Life Month. I encourage schools, students, parents, educators, police departments, and community organizations to coordinate a variety of awareness and prevention activities designed to make our communities safer, promote a healthy environment for all children and adolescents. Thank you.
So thank you, first of all. January 21st, 2020 will be the conference at Grand Canyon University. Again, about 3,000 to 4,000 students, parents, law enforcement officials, government officials, and behavioral and health professionals from all over the valley. We had some students from Chandler Unified School District there last year, and we're expecting to have quite a few students there this year. As you can tell, they're wearing their T-shirts. And at One Valley High School, what they do is on Thursdays, every week, they wear their T-shirts, and that's a sign that students can approach any one of their peers or an adult who's wearing the shirt, and if they're having a rough day or they need to talk to somebody and they need to get connected to services, they know that they can approach either a peer or an adult that they feel comfortable with, and they will get the services that they need. This particular high school, the students have said that they believe that they were able to save at least 4 students' lives who were contemplating suicide, but they reached out to somebody wearing a shirt. So thank you, and thank you for your support.
So our next proclamation is for the American Legion Auxiliary Centennial Day. And I'd like to call up President of Unit 91, Crystal Beauvais, and the officers of Unit 91 and Unit 35. So I'd like to read a proclamation. Whereas the first words of the American Legion Auxiliary Preamble are, "For God and Country," members believe in the ideals and principles of America's founding fathers and pledge to foster patriotism, preserve and defend the Constitution, promote allegiance to God and country, and uphold the basic principles of freedom of religion, speech, and press. And whereas the auxiliary to the American Legion, through its over 8,000 units located in every U.S. state and some foreign countries, embodies the spirit of America that has prevailed through war and peace. Along with the American Legion family, it solidly stands behind America and her ideals. And whereas the more than 600,000 American Legion auxiliary members represent the families of those who are or who have served during times of conflict, protecting our freedom, and provide millions of volunteer hours annually in support of veterans, military, families, and community. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary Department of Arizona consists of over 14,000 members in over 80 units located across Arizona who are dedicated to and provide thousands of volunteer hours, and the Matthew B. Wan, Unit 35, and the Wayne W. McMartin, Unit 91, Chandler, Arizona, is an integral part of the American Legion Auxiliary in Arizona and locally supports veterans, military, family, and communities. And whereas, having been founded on November 10th, 1919, the American Legion Auxiliary will celebrate its 100th anniversary in 2019 during the American Legion Family Fall Conference, held annually in Tucson. And now I, Kevin Hartke, Mayor of the City of Chandler, do hereby proclaim November 10th, 2019 as the American Legion Auxiliary Centennial Day in the City of Chandler. And I urge all residents to celebrate the accomplishments of the American Legion Auxiliary, the Department of Arizona, and Units 35 and 91, and consider volunteering in support of veterans, military, families, and youth. Let's take a picture. Our next scheduled public appearance is by Glenn Copper on outdoor burning in the city of Chandler. Glenn, you've got 3 minutes. If you please state your name and address for the record, and when the light turns yellow, you'll have about 30 seconds left, and when it turns red, please make sure your comments are wrapping up. Glenn.
Okay. Glenn Copper, 1572 East Oakland Street, Chandler, Arizona, 85225. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding a very upsetting and frustrating situation that my wife and I find ourselves in. Given that I only have 3 minutes, I will stick to giving you mostly data on our problem, but will be happy to go into more detail and give you perspective and context should you wish and should time allow. My neighbour, adjoining the rear of my garden, burns wood in a fire pit. It is not to entertain guests. I have never witnessed another person in her yard. Here is the data I started collecting after putting up with burning from early November 2018 through mid-January 2019. She burned over a 65-day period or 9-week period. She burned 21 days out of 65 and burned for approximately 136 plus hours. 10 of those days were either Saturdays or Sundays, the equivalent of 5 weekends out of a total of 9 weekends. Now she has started burning again, earlier than last year and more often, including a period of 26 plus continuous hours of burning when the daytime temperature in the shade reached 85 degrees. For the period October 19 through November 4th, today, and she's actually burning right now when I left my house, she has burned on 10 different days out of 17 for a total of 67 plus hours. 3 of those days were either Saturdays or Sundays, the equivalent of 50% of total weekend time available. I have been in home ownership for over 30 years and never came across this kind of activity before, and neither has anyone else I have spoken to about this. Please ask yourselves, do you believe that it is acceptable? Do you think it is fair for my wife, myself, and our family to not be able to enjoy our yard or not open our windows during these beautiful months of weather? Do you think it is acceptable for us to have to breathe dangerous particulates for the next 100 or so days in order to be outside in our own backyard? If you think not, then please instruct the city attorney or the code enforcement officers to enforce the codes below that I believe more than cover this problem. I also have a letter for you signed by 8 of my neighbours who are also bothered by the continuous fumes, gases and particulates. I have copied my log for each of you, and I will respectfully ask you to spend 5 minutes reading it. It will give a much fuller picture of the distress that this is causing my family and I. I am sure you will agree that this is not reasonable or acceptable behaviour. And just FYI, I think if my neighbour simply bought a gas fire pit, this could all be avoided. She can still enjoy the heat and ambiance without creating obnoxious and dangerous gases and particulates. The codes I mention are 30.2, paragraph entitled Fugitive Emissions or Fugitive Dust.
Glenn, can you please finish up?
I have 10 seconds, sir. Would you mind?
10 seconds.
Thank you. 30.5, creating or causing a public nuisance. 30.5.1, public nuisance, anything which is injurious to health. And 30.5.5 and 30.5.7, burning or disposal of refuse, sawdust, or any other material. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you directly. I truly appreciate it and hope you will help my family and I to be allowed to simply enjoy our home and yard as most residents of Chandler do. Thank you.
Mayor. Councilmember Orlando.
So, I know I've been working with Glenn, Ms. Copper, for, 9-10 months now. I know city staff has been out there several times. I know I've had a conversation with the city attorney, and I'd just like to give a recap of what we try to do here to help this gentleman, at least so that we could share with the council that there's, we've been working on this for some time to try to help him go along before it came to this stage.
Mayor, from my perspective, I can't give a recap. There's been extensive involvement of code enforcement with our office. and there has not been a violation of city law.
Through the mayor, Councilmember Orlando, I'd ask Leah Powell to come forward and give the recap on what we've done from a codes perspective, and there have been several departments, I believe, that have been contacted through this process as well.
So, Mayor, while she's coming up here, the city attorney, you and I had a few conversation about this. The air quality issue that he cites in our code, what is the background of that?
Mr. Close, you can sit down, please.
Oh, yeah, you could
You can be
copy
seated,
this.
please.
I can sit?
Yeah.
Okay. No questions for me?
If I may, Mayor, Councilmember Orlando, I don't know what the original origins of that, but it was really to prevent it's standard in most city codes, and it's to prevent people from continually burning their trash, which can release, obviously, a lot of different things. My understanding is that's not what has occurred here.
Mayor, members of the council, yes, we did take the initial complaint in our code enforcement staff. Staff had gone out and talked with Mr. Copper to understand the situation, has also spoke with the neighbor that is doing the burning. We consulted with Maricopa County because Maricopa County does have jurisdiction if it's, for example, a no-burn day. We consulted with Maricopa County. We also consulted with law. I know that also police and fire have been contacted, and again, there were conversations with those entities as well. At this point, there is not a code that applies to this situation. We did go out several times to monitor the situation and speak with the residents, but at this point, there is not a code that's in violation. The only exception would be is if there was burning on a no-burn day, and then again, that would be a Maricopa County issue.
Yeah. So, Mayor, that's a follow-up question, and I appreciate all you've done. I know there's certain things we can do and can't do. But if this person is leaving this burn for 26 hours, obviously is being left unattended, would that pose a fire hazard or safety issue that we potentially could then address?
If I may, Councilmember Orlando, we would need to respond to that particular situation, be called out. If it's contained, it probably does not. It would be a case-by-case, depending on the weather, depending on many factors.
Okay, so there is some potential there, as we're saying. So I know, City Attorney, you have given me and Mr. Copper some great advice that perhaps, and I believe I shared this with Mr. Copper, perhaps you need to go down and file what's the right word, an injunction?
If I may, Ms. Mayor.
I don't want to get into legal stuff here. I just want to...
Councilmember Orlando, obviously, I cannot give advice to Mr. Copper. He may look at potential available remedies, one of which he could go down and ask the court for a restraining order, but that is a purely private matter, does not involve the city.
I understand, and I clearly said that as well. So I've also talked to another attorney, and they also, a private attorney, recommend the same thing, Mr. Copper. So apparently it seems to be a small claims and try to fix that. In the meantime, like I said, I've been on this council a long, long time, and I've never seen this issue before. We'd have to take a hard look at how we would change the ordinance. In any case like that, we'd have to have a good number of people come in here saying have some similar issues. Again, I apologize for you. I share your frustration, but I think maybe the only remedy is to take it to the court.
Mayor, he's had his 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really a...
Yeah. It's just under scheduled appearances, Mr. Copper. I'm sorry. Under scheduled public appearances, you have 3 minutes, and then we're engaging a conversation, but no.
The city attorney has just said something that I believe is incorrect. There is a code here.
Yeah. Mr. Copper, you can maybe bring that up afterwards, but thank you.
Mayor, the backyard conversation, and I always do it by the, if I'm talking to my neighbor over the fence, what did the neighbor say about the burning when we approached them to try to mitigate this and be good neighbors?
Through the mayor, Councilmember Stewart, The neighbor indicated to staff that she was burning just standard wood, not that it was anything other than just standard wood. She also indicated that there have been the approach between the neighbors in this conversation had not been amicable, and so that may have been contributing to the situation between the two neighbors.
All right, thank you all. Our next public appearance is Kenneth Vaughn with concerns over DVR 170034, Mountain View Estates. I understand Mr. Vaughn is not able to be here on Thursday where we would normally take comments, but if you would, again, give your name and address, and again, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Mayor, council members, my name is Kenneth Vaughn. I'm here on behalf as attorney for Mr. Hildebrandt. His address is 1/4 East Ridge Road. I'm here on this Mountain View Estates matter, and I know this has been percolating around here for some time. At this point, Mr. Hildebrandt, who I've known for 20 years or more, has contacted me, had me start looking into the situation, and basically it seems that there's a disconnect between the developer and Mr. Hildebrandt, and perhaps staff and Mr. Hildebrandt. Mr. Hildebrandt has been waiting approximately 3 months for another contact from the developer, and he is not certain what the actual plan is going to be. And we think that it's only reasonable for Mr. Hildebrandt to understand the plan, for Mr. Hildebrandt to understand what this underground pipe will be, and I'm assuming that you're all familiar with the Mountain View Estates matter. On Friday, I did send a letter out by email to the council and mayor. It's a short read if you have a chance, but Mr. Hildebrandt is kind of a stopping point. He's not sure how we can proceed or what's going to happen to his property if the city approves this Mountain View Estates project, and then all of a sudden he's got a huge amount of problems with his irrigation system or program that he's been using for almost 30 years. We believe that someone from staff should get the developer and Mr. Hildebrandt together and try to work out some of these private property issues, because there's just no reason that a development of this size shouldn't be able to work with the neighbors and have a win-win relationship and result for everyone involved. I understand that City Attorney Schwab is here to answer any questions or address any issues that I have. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to address those. Thank you. And with that, Mayor, council members, I'll answer any questions that you have, and otherwise, I'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Councilmember Orlando.
So, Mr. Vaughn, we've been dealing with this for many months, as you said, maybe a year. I can't remember the time frame. I know the neighbors have been trying to meet with the developer. I know the developer has met with them. There's some on and off relationship. But I saw your letter, and I'm trying to say to myself, what do you want us to do? Because Mr. Hildebrandt, you laid out the issues he had in his letter. Now, okay, let me backtrack. Developer could bury this activity, and I understand Mr. Hildebrandt's reservation about doing that. But I'm really frustrated because I don't want to approve something Thursday night and then have it's unresolved. That's my concern. And then it comes back to us a year from now or 2 years from now, and you have neighbors against neighbors. Again, I've seen that happen, where there's this nebulous or this transitional activity, and we don't have resolution. The neighbors can come back to the city and say, why did you approve this? And maybe legally we have, we're on great ground, stuff like that. I won't get in the middle of that. But my concern is that if we don't get these two together, and I don't know why Mr. Hildebrandt or you can't pick up the phone, call the developer and say, let's sit down from now until Thursday and try to work this out. You already laid out what your concerns were in writing. I'm assuming the developer hasn't.
I'm not sure, but they will tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, so again, I chatted...
Councilmember, pardon.
That's okay, and I chatted with Mr. Jacobson again. I also chatted with developers, and I think a couple of council members are with me. And my concern is, you're asking us to be an umpire here. Now, I umpire for a living. I could do that. But I don't think it's fair to the residents to be able to sit here, to you, to the developers, to sit here and say, gee, this is right, that's wrong. I encourage you, now that you have something in writing, to go back to the developer, sit down with them, and by Thursday, come up with some plan so that this council could embrace this issue with the residents as well as your developer. That's my frustration with this issue.
Well, Councilman Orlando, those are very, very sage comments and advice, and we'll definitely take you up on that. The concern that we have is if there's no resolution by Thursday, we would request that the project approval be postponed for 30 days until the next meeting, so that there is some reasonable opportunity to get together with the developer.
Okay, and again, Mayor, that's an action the council had to deliberate on Thursday night, obviously. But again, from now until Thursday, and like I said, I talked to the developer, and I said my concerns, try to get that together, work on this issue, and see if we get a resolution on it. And that's a council decision whether we punt this another month or two.
I understand. Mayor, council members, City Attorney Schwab, thank you very much.
And I would strongly encourage you to follow that advice rather than look for a further continuance from us. So please work this out, because we will probably take this up on Thursday. We can continue it, of course, but this has been continued a few months already, and we would also like to see this.
Mayor, council members, City Attorney Schwab, I understand. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mayor, sorry about that.
2 honors. All right, council. The next on our agenda tonight is consent. I know that we've had several items called in, and Councilmember Orlando and I also wanted to make a comment on 5, 6, 7, and 8 having to do with our fire chief. Thank you for we always like to see when our staff goes after and is able to secure additional funds and grants from outside. But why don't we do 5, 6, 7, 8 together? Councilmember Orlando. Oh, I'm sorry, 3, yes. Go ahead, 3 is fine.
Mayor, as you know, staff's been working hard on this with the residents or the developer, and I know there's been several residents that contacted us that are still opposed to what's going on here in this issue. But I also know there's many residents that are for this issue that had come before this council last November, I believe, when you had the whole Ryan affair down there. So what I'm asking staff to do is just tell us what we've done with this project to work with the neighbors, and like I said, I personally heard some of the solutions that they come up with, the neighbors, and at least share that with us so that we know before going in, because this is on consent right now. I haven't heard anyone pull it off, so I figure we have dialogue tonight.
Mayor.
City Manager.
Thank you, and Councilmember Orlando, thank you for the question. We have had several questions come up from individual council members. I'm going to ask Lauren to go through the presentation. I think we'll cover a number of those questions, but we won't have to come back. So that's all right.
Thank you, City Manager. Do you guys have good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Do you guys have a PowerPoint up on your screen?
We're looking now.
We're trying.
I don't have it out here.
We do not. So, presentations, Matt, is there any possibility? Not coming up.
We'll visualize it, Mayor.
I'm pretty familiar with it.
Use descriptive words. Creative dance.
I was going to have a brief presentation, but no video?
No.
Would it be contained within the agenda? Does it have the pictures of the agenda?
Just talk us through it.
Sure. All right, so item number 3, known as a PLH 19-42 and PLT 1940, Ferguson Enterprises. This is a request. There's 4 components to it. It's a request for rezoning from AG1 to PAD for I-1 type uses with office, outdoor storage of material and equipment, and ancillary showroom and retail. It includes, with a mid-rise overlay, allowing for building heights up to 50 feet, a preliminary development plan for approval for site layout and building architecture, as well as a preliminary plat. The subject site is located west. Oh. Great. The subject site is located west of the southwest corner of Queen Creek and McQueen Road. Adjacent surrounding land uses include Queen Creek to the north. To the west, it's an unimproved Hamilton Street alignment. The property west of that alignment, it's zoned PAD for I-1 uses with offices, as well as a nursery within Maricopa County. To the south of the property is unimproved Appleby Street, as well as 2 agricultural properties within Maricopa County. And to the east of the property is an approximately 97-acre city facility. It's a water treatment facility, as well as a solid waste collection facility. The property is within a half a mile from the end of the runway. The general plan designates this property as employment within a growth area. It's important to note that this property has been designated as industrial since 1982 general plans. The property falls within our Chandler Air Park Area Plan, which was adopted and approved in 1998. The property is designated as industrial. The proposal includes 2 phases on 48.7 acres. In the first phase, the building would be approximately 362,880 square feet. Of that, 40,000 would be offices, 15,000 would be showroom counter space for the sale for customers to come in and buy products, with the remaining of the building being warehousing. There would be racking in there, racking systems which would store plumbing equipment. There would also be an outdoor storage area which would be screened by an 8-foot wall along the perimeter. Guest parking is out front along Queen Creek. Phase 2 would include an expansion of the building and further developing the property to the south to include pushing the storage yard further to the south. The proposed development is requesting a mid-rise overlay for heights up to 50 feet. Due to the racking systems within the warehouse, a majority of the building, the parapet, which screens all mechanical equipment on top of the roof, comes to 46 feet. A mid-rise overlay is required for buildings over 45 feet. Only a portion of the building over the front door is an enhanced feature, architectural feature, which extends up to 50 feet. Two neighborhood meetings were held because it was requesting a mid-rise overlay. They were at the airport. The first meeting that was held, approximately 30 residents attended, as well as the applicant and Ferguson team. The concerns that were raised were the intensity of the type of industrial uses, concerns about the area developing as an industrial hub, and then concerns about traffic, as well as property values. At the second neighborhood meeting, 4 residents attended. As a result of these meetings, the applicant reduced the request from I-2 type uses to I-1 uses, thus limiting the amount or the types of industrial that could happen on the property if and in the future. Planning staff has received 4 phone calls and multiple emails, all of which were attached to your memo. City staff, reviewed the traffic impacts of the proposal. Neighbors did have concerns regarding traffic. As part of Ferguson's first phase, they are required to do half-street improvements along Hamilton for the entire length of the property from Queen Creek down to Appleby Road. As well, they submitted a traffic impact study which did not warrant a traffic signal at the intersection of Hamilton Street and Queen Creek. However, the applicant has agreed to install a traffic signal under Phase 1. There is a development agreement on the agenda as well with regards to this. With these improvements, it becomes a regional improvement for the area. There's a city-owned property south of this. The city is going to improve that to full street, which would then ultimately connect down to Ocotillo Road in alignment with the Chandler Unified School District bus barn. The development would also benefit regional traffic circulation within that neighborhood. Ferguson, under their traffic impact study, stated on average they'll have 8 tractor trailers average per day, with a majority of their traffic being 24-foot box trucks. Because the proposal was within the Chandler Air Park and requesting rezoning, due to the location of the site with regards to the end of the runway, and a majority of the site is located within an airport noise overlay, which requires additional construction methods. The Airport Commission thoroughly evaluated this request. They found Airport Commission is to make a finding to see if there's any conflict with current operations or future operations of the airport, and no conflict was found with regards to building height, design, location of the building, or use. And they recommended approval. Planning staff has reviewed the request, and we deem it consistent with the surrounding area, consistent with the general plan, consistent with the Air Park area plan. Planning and Zoning Commission and planning staff recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you tell me a little bit more about the extension you're going to put through with the road to alleviate some of the traffic on Ocotillo with the bus barn? I know that's an issue that's come up a handful of times here in this meeting. I know it's a separate issue than this, but is that punch-through going to alleviate that southern traffic, or will it allow those buses to travel safely north?
Through Mayor, Councilmember Stewart, the piece that the city owns to the south of the Appleby Road alignment would extend what Ferguson is doing as part of this project, and it would tie into Centerpoint Parkway. So it would allow the bus barn to have access both to Ocotillo Road, from Ocotillo Road all the way up to Queen Creek, as well as over to Appleby via that Arizona, where there's also a signal.
Are we communicating with the district on that? Are they aware?
Yes. Through the Mayor, Councilmember Stewart, there was a meeting. They are fully aware and very excited about this opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you. Mayor.
Councilmember Orlando.
So, the other thing is, the road does now help the school bus, as Councilmember Stewart indicated, get northbound as well as southbound. But the light is being put in. I don't know if we touched on that a lot, because I know you said they were responsible for a quarter of it, but I don't know. We are putting the light in. That's correct.
Through the Mayor, Councilmember Orlando, you're correct. As part of Phase 1, a traffic signal will be installed at the intersection of Hamilton and Queen Creek, and there's a development agreement on this council agenda as well.
Okay. And the other question I have is, we understand the neighbors bought that area. They understand. I was at one of the meetings, one of the nights. They understand. They bought there. They understand there's an airport. They understand. but they felt confused. They didn't feel like there was enough information going back and forth between developers, the city, and planning. And so I know when I chatted with the city manager last week, she indicated that we're going to be in a kickoff and area plan. Could you at least talk a little bit about that we could share with the residents?
Mayor, council members, so in terms of the Air Park Area Plan update, a couple things are underway already. So we've got the Airport Master Plan update that is underway, being run by the airport manager.
And that's inside the fence?
Correct. Everything is on airport property. That runs just slightly right ahead of the Air Park Area Plan, because ultimately whatever comes of that will then build upon for the Air Park Area Plan. Air Park Area Plan update, as you're aware, was budgeted in the last fiscal budget, and we are currently underway through the procurement process to get the contractor on board, consultant on board to bring forth that Air Park Area Plan update. So it'll be kind of tailing right behind the Airport Master Plan update.
So what does that mean to the citizens in that area? Will they have ample opportunity to have input in that area plan?
We're going to be utilizing kind of a similar neighborhood outreach as we used for the general plan. There's going to be multiple kind of neighborhood meetings, and there'll be many different forms of digital ways that they can get a hold of us as well. All of that to come once we bring forth the RFP for the Air Park Area Plan update.
Yeah, and I encourage that because, again, there's developers in that area, they want to know what happened. There's the residents that want to know what's happening. So this is an area here that I think I appreciate. It's the timeliness of the airport plan, and I believe it'll be beneficial to everyone to know what we're doing in that area so that there are no missing communication issues. And that's about a 9-month plan, 10 months?
Definitely. I mean, I guess it'd be between 9 months and a year. It just depends on also the Airport Master Plan update and dovetailing right into that. But I couldn't agree more on kind of getting the word out and getting feedback back.
Okay. And then I think for the residents, we're in the middle of updating our strategic plan for economic development, which will, again, dovetail into some of what we're doing from a tactical area. So, again, I encourage we share that as we roll this out as well, just give the residents an idea what their community may or may not look like over the next, 5 to 10 years. So hopefully we don't have more of these. We may still have issues, but at least we're upfront about them and have an idea of what should go there. Everyone has coming into the area with a known notion of what's going to happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to be brief. Listen, you did a great presentation. It was very thorough. The city has been approached to do other projects on that land, and this is a very good fit, and it looks like some plans have been made to try and mitigate some of the traffic. And anyway, I'm impressed. So we kind of put you on the spot there a little bit, and you did a great job. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right, other items for discussion on the consent agenda. Councilmember Orlando would like to presentations on 5, 6, 7, and 8 related to our fire.
Yeah, Mayor, as you indicated earlier, these are some good things that we went out and aggressively got grants and for our public safety, and it's always good to talk a little bit about what we're doing with taxpayer dollars.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Through the Mayor, Councilmember Orlando. I would like to talk about items 5, 6, and 7 together. Those 3 action items are related to our Department of Homeland Security grant program, specifically the UOSI program. The city has been an active participant in the UOSI program since 2003. We have been able to secure approximately $1.5 million in funding since that time. Action item number 5 is specific to our Special Operations team. So this grant fund will fund training and equipment specific to our hazardous materials and technical rescue teams. Item number 6, that funding is specific for our Terrorism Liaison Officer program. So that will fund training as well as some ongoing expenses related to technology. Item number 7 is related to our CERT, or Community Emergency Response Team courses. We offer 2 courses per year. This is a great opportunity for us to educate our citizens, increase our preparedness. So those 3 specific items relate to that grant program. Item number 8 is unique. That is an agreement between the department and Maricopa Community College District, which will allow us to train paramedic students. This is a look into the future, so allow us to train our firefighters on the trucks. As part of Arizona's mandated curriculum, each paramedic student is required to train 500 hours in vehicular operations. This would facilitate that requirement for ourselves as well as any regional partners who plan to participate in our program.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for our fire department, the innovative things you're doing, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
When is the next CERT class being offered? Do you know offhand?
I do know I believe we have a class coming in the fall. I don't want to commit to the dates. I believe they're in November. Chief Vargo is our coordinator for that program, so she's done a fantastic job. We have had those programs fill up every time. We're in that 25 to 30 members for each one of those courses. It is given over 3 Saturdays, 2 full-day Saturdays, 1 half-day Saturday. It's an excellent opportunity. We offer that information usually posted on our website, so we encourage anyone who is interested to call down to headquarters, look at our website, and look for the next opportunity to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
And item number 16, Councilmember Orlando.
Thank you, Mayor. Andy, quick question. You guys doing a great job down there at parks, restrooms, obviously. It's a legacy from previous parks, and I know that sometimes it can be challenging cleaning them up, but I just wanted to ask you, do we have something in here to ensure the parks are clean for Saturday mornings? I know there's softball games the night before, soccer games, other things like that, and sometimes when the residents get into the park, trash is either half full or mostly full, so do we still have this in here? I know, I think Alex answered the question.
Through the mail to Councilmember Orlando, you are correct. There are 10 sites within this contract that are used for athletic purposes on Saturdays that have additional cleaning Saturday, midday, afternoon, during the busy season through March through May and September through November. We also have the ability to call in additional cleans above and beyond that if necessary.
Yeah, I could tell the difference in the last 6-7 months that we've been having the Friday night or Saturday morning trash, but you could tell it's a big difference, and I know the residents are very happy to see, so at least at Foley, and I'm sure the other parks are the same way, so thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Council, any other questions related to our consent agenda? Okay, on Thursday we'll be voting on this as well as a few action items. Remember that we are going to be resuming back into our Economic Development Strategic Plan work session, and this concludes our study session.